Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think it's fine now. You see?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? What's up, guys? Can you hear me now?
Talk.
What's the characteristics of demand and supply zone? How do you change those characteristics? Guys, can you hear me? Please, guys, if you can hear me, just comment yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. Um. Where is the sound, guys? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, guys? Nice. Your sound has an echo. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, powerful, powerful, powerful. Okay, guys. So today we're gonna be going through like a few pairs, which your sound has an echo from. I think now it's fine now. I think there's an echo now. Echo issues, but there is an echo. Echo. Yes. Okay. Okay. Um. Okay, guys, I did fix the echo sound. I did fix the echo sound. I did. Please forgive me on that. Please forgive me. Let me just remove these guys because now it's like kinda disturbing me. Okay, it's fine, guys. Let's just go to our breakdown. Um, guys, we can still. Um, they say there's an echo.
An echo could be caused by. So try and
It's off. It's muted. This one. You see, the volume is like off.
it's off.
You see,
I don't know, man. Let me stream and hear what they're saying and then I'll see.
echo. Can you join the live session and see if there's echo?
Yeah, I'll just.
Yeah. Guys, I'm still fixing the echo sound. I don't know what could be causing the sound. Uh, uh, you joined? Huh? Can I? There's echo. But I am not even in now. Hello? Huh?
There's echo, yes.
There's still echo.
Yeah.
Open! Open! Itamo.
But there's echo in this thing.
Guys, don't worry, guys. Just stay with me. I'm gonna be dropping some big nuggets. They say there's an echo here.
So now what can we do?
I don't know what's happening.
Talk.
Do you still hear an echo, guys?
Talk.
Can you hear an echo, guys?
Talk.
Can you hear an echo?
You're safe.
Yes, I can hear even.
You hear echo? Eh?
Speak, man. I'm also streaming.
Listen, there's an echo. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This echo, it's not like a lot of echo where you hear one voice a lot of time. It's just like you're in a wall. So it's manageable. You can speak.
Okay, guys. So let me just roll with it, guys. Let me just roll with it before we can, after we can even furthermore waste time. Okay, guys. So looking at on our daily time frame, guys. One thing that you can see, uh, let me see here. Actually, I'm not used to having so much of big screen, guys. I'm not used to be having so much of big screen. So, and this is literally so big for me. It's so big. Let me see. Control. Uh, Okay, I think it's fine now, guys. I'm used to this now. Okay, guys. So one thing that you can literally see, guys, on our daily time frame, you see that price was pushing up, making higher highs, higher lows, super nice and simple. Created equal lows here, left somewhat some sort of like liquidity here, and then pushed to the upside. Came back to mitigate what to mitigate this what institutional candle here, and then pushed to the upside to probably hit this target. Didn't really hit it, but you can see that it did hit this target here, and then it pushed to the downside. Once we saw price breaking below these areas, now we knew that we are in some sort of like what, some sort of like a downtrend now. Why are we in a downtrend, guys? It's pretty simple, because now we can see that price tapped into these areas, and then what it did, it broke below this area here. So we have what here, we have a break of structure here. So this is our what, this is our break of structure. Let me see here, this is too big. Let me put in 16. We have a break of structure here, as you can see now. So what is it that we're looking at now? Looking at a downtrend. So when price came to these areas to mitigate or test this area here, we knew that price was going to test these areas. We have like some sort of like a supply zone here. We have a supply zone. Price came to test our supply, and then what happened? Shot to the downside, breaking structure to the downside. Remember, guys, these were the previous lower lows that were left by price, and then what is it that we see? We see price coming back to do what? To break below these areas here. Another break of what? Of structure. So this guys confirms with us that price is in some sort of like a nice what ranging market. So one thing that we can see now, guys, what is that we have here? Pretty nice and simple. We have a push to the downside, and then we have what, we have price forming some sort of like a ranging market here, and then we have what, we have this push to the downside as well. So what is that we expect, guys? We expect price to come and pull back into like at least 50% of this what, of this range, and then continue shooting to the downside. So now that's the possible scenario that we're looking forward for us to be entering our position. But then again, once we are inside this ranging market, guys, here, once we are in this 50% of this ranging market, we still need to see price trending and breaking structure to the downside, pulling back, coming to our institutional candle, and then continuing to push to the downside. So then that we know, okay, now price is ready, or giving us what, some sort of like a confirmation entry. But then again, guys, it doesn't really have to come back now. It can come back at any time it feels like. And you can see, guys, that we have some sort of like imbalance that was left by price here. So price has to still come and fill this imbalance here. And you can see, guys, that price did let some nice liquidity just above these areas here. So price has more chances to come and test these areas before can either push to the downside or break to the upside, but more chances because now we are moving in some sort of like a downtrend. We're expecting price to continue pushing to the downside. So let's just go in down to our daily time frame. So on our daily time frame, guys, that's where we go a little bit more deeper. So one thing that we can do, I'm just gonna take my Fibonacci, take the low. I'm gonna take the low and the high of what, of this range. You can see that this is just little below our 50%. I wouldn't really say this is a high probability setup. Why is not a high probability setup? Because now I'm entering this position below here. The only way I can say this is a high probability setup is if maybe I'm entering just above here, on these areas here, on this demand zone, supply zone, I mean, that is created by price. Once I enter here, then I know that I'm entering at my premium area. So when I'm entering at my premium area, that is a what, a high probability setup. But still again, this is just below this. Just, guys, these people are making noise here and I'm in a session, but either way ish, yeah. So as you can see, guys, now let me just see the comments. It's good now, or it's all good. Okay, fine, sound nice. Kancane says you new sound, but echo is still a bit okay. We can hear you. Don't think there's any problem having hearing what you're saying, sir. Okay, so guys, just stick with me, guys. I'm dropping some like very nice and big nuggets here. So as you can see, guys, that we have our 50% range from these areas here. This is just a range, guys, nothing more to it. It's just a range. So we're able to calculate. So if we do find some sort of like a nice setup here, then that's when we're gonna be like, okay, looking to sell. But when we talk about high probability setup, is when we are entering when price is most expensive. Remember, guys, when price is most expensive, like when you are selling tires, and then those tires are more expensive at that period of time, that's when you want to sell them, because you're gonna make more profit. You don't want to sell them while they are less cheaper, because of if you are buying them at 5 rand and then you are selling them, like for instance, like maybe at 6 rand, or maybe it's 4 rand, because now price is a bit cheaper, you're not going to be making any profit. But when tires are now more expensive, like they are costing 10 rand. So you can see that you are literally making twice of what you used to buy those tires with. So that is the good area for us to be looking forward for selling opportunities, because that is where price is more expensive. So supply, you need to sell when price are at what supply zone, where price is more expensive. So when you're talking about this is the area here, this area price is more expensive because this is our what is our premium premium area. So guys, going to deep details about this, you can see that we did have some sort of like liquidity that was left by price, and we saw price pushing to the upside and taking out this liquidity. But then again, guys, one thing that you can see, price hasn't really taken out this imbalance that is here. We still have some sort of like imbalance, which can be a factor or influence to say price can still push to the upside before pushing to the downside. And I did say, guys, it doesn't really have to do it today. It can do it next week. It can do it anytime it feels like. It can take months for it to come and feel this imbalance. We never really know when price is gonna feel that imbalance, but we know that at the end of the day, price has to feel that imbalance. So now let's just zoom in, guys, now to focus on this area here. So here, one thing that you can see, guys, focusing on some sort of like internal structure. One thing that you can see, guys, now let me just go to our H1 so that it can be even a bit more clear. So on our H1 time frame, guys, one thing that you can see, we do have a nice break of structure here. We do have a nice break of structure, just internal um okay, guys, I pressed a wrong button, but it's fine. Let's just go to our H1 time frame. um, okay, on our H1 time frame, guys, we do have a nice we do have a nice break of here. We do have a nice break of structure here. As you can see, guys, price did break of structure. This is just what some sort of like internal structure, guys. We're not looking to any selling opportunities now, because this is internal structure. So guys, it's very important to understand when price is changing directional bias, or when price is just forming some sort of like an internal structure. Remember, when we're looking at external structure, we saw push to the upside, to the downside. We saw this push to the upside again, and then we saw this push, and then we got our pullback. So now we're seeing this push. Price left some liquidity here, so price had to like literally come and take out this liquidity before we can see that maybe push to the downside. So now what is it that we can see, guys? We can see price is making lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs, but this is just an internal structure. Why am I saying that? It's because if you can see that we haven't broken this area here, this previous lower highs here, and there is liquidity that lies below this area. So price can either come and take out this liquidity before pushing to the upside, And one thing that I like, you can see that, guys, we have so much tons of price breaking this structure to the downside, making these lower lows and lower highs here. As you can see, break of structure, continually going to the downside. And then what is this? We see price pulling back into our H4. Let me just go back to our H4. This is our H4 demand zone. As you can see, just let me just take out the replay button here. um, if you can just see, guys, here, this was a nice entry for us to be looking forward for short opportunities, because we have a nice break of structure, and we have this imbalance that hasn't been filled, and some sort of like a nice liquidity here, liquidity pool that is just here, super nice and simple, guys. Liquidity pool that was left by price. So price had to push to these areas and then continue to push to the downside. And what is that we see price doing exactly that, push to the upside, 50% of this supply zone, and then push to the downside. It hasn't really reached the target, because the target would definitely be here, but we can see that it did break structure. Let's just go to our H1 time frame. But you see, it did break structure here, as you can see. Let me just get my pen. We did get that impulsive move, push to the upside, gave us this another second entry here, and then we started seeing market ranging. Eventually, we saw price doing breaking below this target. So this is just a confirmation for us that price is indeed in a downtrend. Push back to these areas again, came back to our supply zone. I wouldn't be looking for any selling opportunities now. Why? It's because of price has really mitigated or retested this area here. So the only time I'm going to be looking for entries is if I go to my 15-minute time frame. So on my 15-minute time frame, guys, it's pretty nice and simple, guys. I don't want to complicate this. I just want to make it as easy as I can possibly make it. You can see, guys, that we do have a nice break of structure on a smaller time frame. So you can see that, guys, now we created our newly formed supply zone here, just on top of this area. Let me just change this. We have our 15-minute 50-minute order block here that was left by price, and it was able to do what, to push and break structure here. This is just a minor structure or internal structure, you can say like that, but you can see price did break and close below. So what is that I'm seeing price doing? I'm seeing price pushing to these areas and then continuing to push to the downside. This is what I was just saying or telling you about, guys, that I'm still looking for price. If it comes here forming that structure, I'm still looking for price to do what, to break this previous structure, push to the upside, and then form to the and push to the downside. So this is for me a confirmation entry, because now what happens is that you can see we have a nice what, we have a nice break of structure here, we have a nice break of structure here, and then price pull back to come and test what, test our supply zone that was left by what, that was left by price here, and then you can see price eventually doing what, shooting to the downside. So that's basically what I'm looking out for at this point in time on what, on Euro USD. Looking to for price to literally come and take out these what, these lows here, and then we can further see more directional paths on the price. Can we go on? We hear bro some ICT language, nice one. Are you going to be looking at DXY as well? Most definitely. I don't have DXY on my pairs, but yeah, we're gonna see. So looking at GJ, guys, I'm currently in this position. On GJ, I'm currently in this position, but let's just go to our daily time frame so that we can analyze this position as well and see what is it that we're looking at for here. On what, on GJ, super nice and simple, not too complicated, guys, not too complicated. Remember, guys, one of the most important thing is if you analyze and see some sort of like a supply or demand zone on what, on your H4, for an example, that's the H4 supply that you want price to test. That is the exact one that you want price to test, not the other way around, guys. You don't want price to come in and testing the 15-minute supply, but you saw what, you saw the H4 what supply zone. So you want price to come back and test that exact what, exact supply. So one thing that you can see, guys, here on GJ, you can clearly see that, guys, GJ is pushing to the upside. Long term, we are looking for price to do what, to push to the upside, but you can see that price left so much liquidity here, guys. There's so much money that is left here. Super nice and simple. We really don't know when price can come and take out this liquidity, but one thing that we know is that there's so much money that is left below here, so price can either push to the downside and test this what, and test this liquidity before doing what, before pushing to the downside. So that is super nice for us. So I'm just gonna label here. You can see that we have some nice liquidity pool, and then going to our sort of like internal structure, you can clearly see, guys, that we did have this pull to the downside and a retracement, and then we have a push, and then what is that we saw? We saw that this is a nice and strong level of what, of demand, hence we saw what, we saw price pushing to the upside. Super nice and simple. So I can take these areas here, taking this last candlestick as my what, my demand zone. Excuse me, having what, having these errors as my what, my demand zone. Remember, guys, you just have to take every candlestick here that is here on what, before price push to the upside. You can see we have a nice demand zone, we have a break of structure here, just a minor break of structure that you can use to enter on our smaller time frame. Sure, there's something that you can find here to enter what, if you miss this trade here, you can still enter here to look forward for price or for continuation. This is just a confirmation entry for price to push to the upside. Probably going to be targeting these areas here, these previous what, previous highs or higher lows, lower highs, I mean, that were formed by what, by price. So now let's just move on, guys, because the most important thing about this breakdown is to us to see where are we seeing what, where are we seeing GJ going in the next few days from here. So one thing that you can literally see, guys, now on GJ is that you see that we had some sort of like liquidity that was left by price. If I can just drag this one a bit more back, we have liquidity that was left by price here. You can see price left liquidity, there is liquidity that was left here, liquidity that was left here. So guys, when I'm talking about liquidity, guys, I'm literally talking about money. When I'm talking about liquidity, I'm talking about money. This is the money that is left by retail traders. When they're entering here, they're putting their stop loss above here. When they're entering here, they're putting their stop losses about here. When they enter here, they put their stop losses above here. So this is the question you have to ask yourself as to where are people putting their stop losses. So if you know that there's stop losses that are above here, then you know that price has eventually to come take out these stop losses, push to the upside, and then eventually everyone that entered these selling opportunities, they're out of what, they're out of this position, because of the only currency that banks are trading is what is liquidity. They're just looking for that liquidity to take it out and then moves without retail trader, without us retail traders. One thing that you're gonna see happening, you're gonna see yourself maybe let's say for an example you have some sort of like a double top formation. How many people you think they're gonna be entering this position here? Billions of people. They're gonna be entering what a double top formation. This is one of the what reversal pattern. But us, we don't enter this position here. What do? We wait for price because now we understand that price has a lot of liquidity that is above, that lies here, billion of money that is even trillion of money that is lying above these areas here, which is what stop losses. And then we're gonna see price breaking these areas here, and then what's gonna happen? Just one candlestick is gonna come sweep up this liquidity that is just lies above here, and then what's gonna happen? Price is just gonna move away without anyone. So what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be looking for that demand zone, because we know just above liquidity there's always what? There's always a demand zone. So it's gonna be looking for that demand zone to do what? To enter those what? Those shorting opportunity. That's some sort of like a short lesson here, why we're talking about liquidity, what is liquidity, and so on. But that is not like the overall lesson. So guys, as you can see here on GJ, we saw price pushing to the downside impassively, super nice and simple. And what happened, guys? We saw price breaking what? Breaking structure here, super nice and simple. Let me just go here. We have a nice break of structure, price pull back. You can see, guys, the way that the market is moving from this area here to this era here. If you can just see, there's a lot of different guys. You just don't even need to go and search this. You can see that we have what? We have a push to the downside, and then we have what? We have a base here, which is some sort of like a ranging market. And then what is that we expect, guys? We expect a continuation to the downside. Super nice and simple. But now we're not gonna be entering a double top formation and so on. We're gonna be entering based on our supply zone, understanding that there is some sort of like liquidity that lies above this double top formation and so on. So we wait for price to do what? To take out that liquidity, and then we're going to be entering our position. So now we're going to our H1 time frame. Pretty price was a bit choppy, guys. I don't want to lie here. Price was a bit choppy. There were a lot of fundamentals that were like on the market. Basically, guys, when I'm saying fundamental, I'm talking about like manipulations. There was a lot of manipulation that was involved in the market last week, because like if one can say I'm analyzing using fundamentals is all about looking long term, not like reactive move, like as if like today I'm looking for price to react like this. It doesn't really work like that. But these manipulative fundamentals where you see on investing.com, like there's three poles and then price news came out negative, and then you see that spike to the upside and to the downside, and then you see eventually it rejects and closes. What do you think is happening, guys? There, it's just manipulation. They're just messing with retail traders into thinking they're trading fundamental. But fundamental is when you go maybe to, like, for an example, Bloomberg, and then you hear, oh, Cyril Ramaphosa has reshuffled all his cabinets. What's going to happen? Investors are going to start pulling their funds. So that's when you know that the economy of South Africa is going down. But it's not something that's going to just like immediately, and then the economy is just shutting down, and then South Africa is losing everything. It's just long term, guys, when we're looking at what fundamental long term. So you can see, guys, that what happened, guys, here it's pretty nice and simple. I did miss this trade. I did feel bad, not really feel bad, but I did say this was going to be a nice trade for me. But the reason for me I didn't execute in this position was because of we had this very big supply zone here, about 47 pips. I wasn't going to compromise having so much, so I was waiting for price to at least reach what? To at least reach 50% of what? Of my my supply zone. Then that's when I'm going to be entering this position. I'm super comfortable with taking anything up below 25%, 25 pips, I mean. So this trade, that's one of the reasons I didn't take this or didn't execute this position. So I let price shoot to the downside, and as you can see, guys, as price is shooting to the downside, one thing that you can notice, it couldn't break below these areas, let some liquidity. So when price leaves some liquidity, guys, you know that it has to come back and grab that liquidity. And you can see here again, this is a nice liquidity pool that was left by price left these areas. Why I'm saying this is a liquidity pool is because of, you can see that people were buying here, they caught these moves, and then you can see that these people haven't been taken out of what? Of the market. And so we see, I'm seeing price pushing to the downside, breaking below these areas, and then giving me another scaling entry position, and then continuing to shoot to the downside, because of you still have like so much of finished business. Even if you can see, guys, here we have this long term, what we have this long term liquidity that hasn't been filled by what, hasn't been filled by price. So we're still seeing price pushing furthermore to the downside to take out all this liquidity that is here. I'm just gonna literally be managing this position on our H1 time frame. I'm not gonna be going to my 15-minute time frame, finding structure and all that. I'm just gonna let this trade run. If it takes me out, a stop loss is fine, because I can see now I've secured about 1%. If it takes me out, it's still fine. If I can still capitalize on this, even though, because we've tested this H4 supply zone, I'm not going to be entering at the like candlestick test. I'm going to be entering 50% because we haven't tested 50% of this what supply zone. I'm still bearish bias on what, on GJ short term, though not long term. Long term, I'm looking at bullish price pushing to the upside, guys, as I did mention to you that we're looking at a bullish area. So going to GU, guys, on GU, let me just go to my daily time frame. Before I continue GU, let me just check. Are you going to, okay, I love GJ, powerful all the way to, wow, this is my first time here. I'm happy, Makasa. Been sitting on this trade since last week. Christopher, I hope it goes. I hope you are in profit if you've been like holding those cells. Yes, you know the vibes are. Please show us how you have set up your FIB. Okay, I'm definitely gonna show you guys how I set up my FIB as well. So guys, as you can see here, this is GJ, this is GU, I mean. So you can see, guys, GJ, GU, we have some sort of like base currency, which is like pound, but overall you can see, guys, that we are in some sort of like what, a bearish trend, because you can see price is making lower lows, lower highs, breaking these areas, guys. You can see we are in a nice what, bearish trend. But now currently, where are we? We are in some sort of like a ranging market. Where are we ranging between these highs and what, and these lows? Price hasn't shown us any clear direction where it want to go from here. So you can see that price did test this supply zone, came to retest it. Sniper entry, guys, this is what we call sniper entries, pushing to the downside. These kind of entries are more of good if you are like swinging trading. If you are day trading like me, you wouldn't really be like entering this, because it's gonna give you a lot of what, of pips as your stop loss. Already, if you're having like 30 40 pips as your stop loss and you're day trading, that doesn't make sense, because price can literally move that 30 pips. Okay, not 30 pips exactly, maybe 80 pips, and already there's Asian session, there's New York session, so you can literally like, it wouldn't make sense to have such huge stop losses as a day trader. So, but one thing that you can see, guys, once price tapped into this, what, into the rest of our supply zone, what do we see, guys? So much momentum to the downside, so much momentum to the downside, and you can see that we did break these structures here. Even though it's not clear so much on our daily time frame, but when we move in a bit more down, but you're gonna see that this was a nice level of structure that was broken by price, and you can see that price did react to this era. So people were buying this era and saying, wow, price has to continue. And then what happened? They were like taken out of this position. Liquidity, guys, as I've been saying to you, price was just taking out this liquidity and then shoot to the upside, as you can see. So now we're seeing price shooting to the downside. I have two possible scenarios though, but let's just dive in a bit more to our H1 time frame so that we can understand. So one thing that you can literally notice, guys, that I did highlight here, liquidity again. One thing that you can see here, we did, this is the area where price reacted at. So if you can just zoom in here, you can see, guys, that this was a nice trade as well. You can see that price did give us a nice confirmation entry. You can see that we did break this structure. After we broke this structure, came back to test this supply zone, and then after this supply zone, what happened, guys? Price was like literally just shooting to the downside, So you can see, guys, that price did give us that time to enter this position as what, as day traders, but then again, it's past now. So I want to focus more on what's happening now. So you can see, guys, that we did have this what, we did leave this supply zone that hasn't been tested. But one thing that you can literally notice, we have some nice liquidity here. Look, we have equal highs here, equal triple equal highs, and then what's the side beside or above these equal highs? Liquidity, because there are stop losses that are above here. Price has to come and take out this liquidity here. So that's why we are just looking for price to take out this liquidity when it's coming to our entry. It's gonna be taking out this liquidity, and then then that's when we're gonna be seeing what is seeing price after he has taken out these people, and then there's people who are entering their buy stops, guys, here because of their like breakout traders, like support and resistance breakout. They're like, okay, price has broken out of these areas. They have their buy stops just around here, and then it's gonna take them in. Then they are in profit for 1 minute, and then price just sink and bleed, and then they are just crying. The market is like it's against me and so on. They just didn't understand the way the market moved, the concept of how the market moves. So they just like they were in the position, but they really didn't fully understand how the market moves. So one thing that you can notice, guys, that we are waiting for here on GU, we're just waiting for price to come and tap in here and then continue pushing to the downside. Super nice and simple, not too complicated, to be honest, guys. We're looking for price to come and take out these lows here. So we have like a 1 to 12 RR. Literally, guys, this is just one trade that you need to like to end your month. This is the only trade you need. If you hold your position from here to here, 12%, guys, on one position, that's crazy, bro. That like that's crazy, man. Like this is one trade that you need to like have in your what in the whole of 1 month. You don't really need to trade the whole time. But then I'm just showing you the power of this strategy that I'm using, whereby you can just lead it literally one trade. It can just take you through. Even if you take maybe 5 losses, you know that that one trade that's gonna go in your direction hard. You're gonna be making everything on top of that profit as well. So least last currency pair that I'm gonna be going through is what is CAD yen. So one thing that you can see, guys, CAD yen GJ pretty much like the same. We have quote as like what as yen. So you can see that we can expect some sort of like positive correlation. You can see that okay, we're looking at price being what as price bullish, guys. If you can just put in my trend line here, you can see that price is super nice and bullish. But what is happening now, guys? Here we are ranging between these highs and these lows. We haven't broken above these high highs. Once we do break, then price is trending for us. Pull back, then we're expecting price to do what, to continue pushing to the upside. So now let's see how we can just like dive in a bit more deeper to see if we can get those shorting opportunities or long opportunities forward for short term. Because remember, guys, we are day traders. We don't like wait for price to give us those long moves that we're gonna hold for weeks. We just need that one short move, and then we good. So guys, here on our daily time frame, there's nothing much I can say about daily time frame, except that you see that price left this demand zone, didn't come to mitigate these errors, left a lot of what liquidity. Here you can see price just push to the upside, and then came back, didn't test this area, and just turned here, push to the upside. So there were many people who were buying here. So you can see that we have unfinished business. Price has to still come and take out this liquidity before pushing or continuing to push to the downside. And you see, guys, that we do have a nice supply demand zone as well here, which can be our possible scenario, possible area for us to be looking for those longs. Because remember, guys, long term we're looking for what, for longs. But now one thing that you can see, we have a push to the downside, we have a pull back, so expecting price to continue pushing to the downside, probably maybe finding some sort of like support or demand zone here, and then continue to push to the upside. But now one thing that we can literally see, we do have a nice break of structure here, even though it's not so clear on our daily time frame. But if you can just see here, this is just a break of structure, super nice and simple, breaking to the downside. So it's telling us that price is a little bit of more bearish, and you can see the momentum from here and the momentum from here, guys. It's just like price impulse, and then it started to do what, to push to the retracement, super low momentum. You can see that there's no much buyers in the market, and then you can just see price doing what, bleeding to the downside. I say price is bleeding if it's going down. I say price is flying if it's going to the moon. So we go to our H4 time frame. On our H4 time frame, guys, we can see we did have what we did have this breakout structure to the upside. So this was a sign that price was bullish. Yes, price was bullish, guys. So this is nice, guys. I really like how we are not married to any setup. Remember, guys, a higher time frame, we're looking for price to come and tap into these areas, but we do understand super nice that if price is bullish like this, we're not gonna be entering our what, our selling opportunities, because we have to wait for what, for higher time frame structure to do what, to change in directional bias, so that we can what, so that we can capitalize on those moves. We can't just be like, okay, we're gonna be entering those positions just when we feel like we wanna enter because of now price on higher time frame is bearish and so on. We don't do that. So now, guys, one thing that you can literally see, let me just make this one thing that you can literally see, guys, is that we have a nice supply zone here on our daily time frame. Let me just make this big. We have on our H4, I mean, we have a push to the downside. This push, guys, was able to do what, was able to break below these areas here. We're able to get a break of structure here. We're able to get a break of structure here, and then price push to the downside, broke structure again. So it's still fine if it doesn't come to these areas. It's still fine. We're just gonna apply some bit of more patience. Let's just go to our H1 time frame so that this break of structures can be a little bit more clear, so that it can be a little bit more clear. When talking about break of structure, guys, I really don't want to see these guys. I really don't want to see this. I really don't want to see this, whereby the candlestick just break with a spike and then reverses. But this is what I want to see, guys. I want to see the body of the candle closing below what? Closing below that area of where I'm saying is a break of structure. So one thing that you can see, guys, we were looking at the price being bullish, and then what happened, guys? We started seeing price reversing and leaving what? Leaving our institutional candle. And if you can just see, price did come back to test this institutional candle before shooting to the downside. This is what we call risk entry, because of there's no much of confirmation at this areas. You can only get confirmation somewhere here if price do probably take you in, because you can already see that price has broken structure and then pull back to test you and then push to the upside. But when price was coming to test this area, there's no much of what of confirmation that you can say. Let me just see if price did come to tap into these areas. Yes, price did come to tap into these areas, but I doubt you'd have gotten this, because I think this was too fast. This was too fast. Let me see if I can just pull this a little bit more down, because we take the whole candlestick body, guys, and the wicks. So you can see that, guys, price just literally came and tap in here. Let me see how many pips. 8 pips, guys. See, 8 pips stop loss. Super nice for us as day traders. Super nice and simple. This is our supply zone. um Okay, this is let me just put this as our H1 entry. So you can see, guys, that we have a nice H1 entry. Came price tapped into here, push to the downside. This is tells us this is a strong level of supply, stronger than this demand, and stronger than this demand as well. Let me just see here if price did give us. Okay, guys, price didn't break these areas here, but what it did, it left us with some nice liquidity pool. So we know that price, these candlesticks that are forming now, they're just coming to take out what? To take out this liquidity, guys. Super nice and simple. So what I'm waiting up for, guys, here, it's simple. I'm not gonna be like, okay, I'm waiting for price to literally come and test these areas before I enter my long. No, guys, you move with the price, you follow the price where it's going. So what I'm gonna be looking out for, guys, here is pretty nice and simple. I'm just gonna be marking my low and my high of my Fibonacci. Once I've done marking my high, let me just remove this, the high and low. So I'm gonna be marking these, guys, once I see that expansion and breaking below this area, taking out this liquidity and breaking of structure. Once I see that happening, what I'm gonna be marking these lows of mine, and I'm gonna be waiting for price to come back into my into my premium. Then once price come to my premium, then I'm gonna be looking for further more shorting opportunities. So this trade can be a little bit more specific to our 15-minute time frame, I believe. When I be taking any something that is above that is above our premium areas, not below. We're not gonna be taking anything that is below our our premium areas. So this is what we're looking for: a break of structure and a pullback, and then a continuation. This is what we call some sort of like a confirmation entry. So what I can be taking out for, guys, here, I really don't like how these candlesticks are formed. Like we see that this bearish candlestick formed, pushed to the downside. So I can literally take this. I can literally take this and say, this is my 15-minute OB. I can take this, but I really don't like how we are so close to our discount price. But I can still take this as my first setup, because you can see here there's a lot of like retest and what. I don't like. I really don't like to trade order blocks that have been retested by by structure or market price. So that's basically me, guys, with the focus that I'm seeing on GJ. Remember, guys, I did say GJ and KDN, like, they move almost the same, because they have positive correlation, because they have positive um FHSR's institutional trading. Yes, say powerful. Let me just read the comments, guys. I think okay, I didn't know you guys trade smart money. Appreciate the analysis, chief. Powerful.
Comment, you watch on your phone. You're not supposed to show these things.
I'm just reading on my own. If there's questions,
Check the questions on your phone.
it was echo.
Put it on mute. No, people see what
You see this?
they see exactly what's going on here.
Okay, guys. Let me just read the comments that now on my phone, and then we're gonna call it a session, guys. I believe our session has been like going for so long, guys. And I do believe, guys, we got some value here. Okay, Copa Ochebe AUD CADJPY, Mamba Constance joining from SA. Constance, what's happening, my brother? Mamba is killing it with the SMC. Fanalakhe, does this strategy also work on indices? Definitely, my brother. At Leslie, yeah, it does work on indices well. Thanks at Raining. Nope. Rain is saying nope. I think it's saying yep. Can you do USDT also? Guys, yeah, guys, we're cutting it now. Time, but yeah, if you feel like we want more, guys, of these kind of things, you can just text me on Instagram, and we can have a 60-minute one-on-one just with you, teaching you all the nuggets, guys. So just do that, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for staying and tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe, you like, and you drop a comment to this to these videos. Thank you so much, guys. It's me, your boy Fanilakhe Mamba. I'm out of the building. Let there be peace in the Middle East, there, brothers and sisters.